morning, this is Tanya from Firefly Berries, and I'm the dyer behind our yarn line, Berry Fun Yarns. If you're just coming to this channel and are looking to find the things that I'm talking about, you can find me personally as Berry Fun Mom on both Instagram and Ravelry. So I thought it'd be fun to share a little bit more about what I'm knitting. Some of it is Berry Fun Yarns and some of it isn't. Also what I'm crocheting, because I crochet as well. And then some natural dyeing information. What can I tell you about? So today I'm going to share some finished objects. So you might see, if you watched our previous vlog, the May 2020 vlog, I was working on this crop, the Soldotna crop, and let me stand up and see if I can show it to you. Short sleeve crop sweater, and I love it. It fits perfect. I was a little worried that it was going to be too small, and I tend to knit things that are way too big. So that was great. I was excited that this fit perfect. And if you're interested in making something like this takes DK weight yarn. So you could hold fingering double, I suppose, but DK weight yarn, and I used the Berry Fun Yarns DK Tweed. This darker color is Minnesota Northwoods, and the green, and then the lighter green that's kind of down here is Fairy Garden. The orange is Pumpkin, and the lavender purple is called Spring Lilacs. And those are all dyed with plants that we grow on the farm, or natural dye extracts that I purchase. This is my one thing I knit, and then as soon as I finished this last Sunday, so that had been like a week ago, I cast on this shawl. So this is the Storm Shawl by Joji Locatelli, and it is, let me take it off so you can see it a little closer. It's a one skein shawl, and it has these really pretty dropped stitch sections. I have never done drop stitches before, on purpose anyway, and it was a little frightening at first, but once I did it, it was okay. I don't know if I love it, but I don't necessarily hate it. And it is kind of a different texture. It makes it a little more feminine looking, a little drapey, and it makes your one skein of yarn go a lot farther. So this is going to be a gift for somebody. But this is in the Berry Fun Yarns Fight Like a Girl colorway, and it is on Berry Tough Sparkle. I don't know if you can see the sparkle in it. Probably not. The lighting isn't super great. So that was super fun. I knit that in a week. I don't normally knit just one project, but since the whole COVID-19 pandemic started, I seem to be very monogamous. So I knit one thing and then I move on. But that doesn't mean I don't have other projects going on. So other things that I have in the works right now, I am working on, I have 4 boys, 17, 15, 12, and 8. And I had this plan that I'm going to make them each a scrap yarn blanket for them to take with them to college. So I'm working on a couple of different ones. This is this is crochet. This is a basic granny stripe blanket, and I've just done, I think it's called a magic circle. I don't remember. Where you crochet 6, then you crochet into the first one, and then you have a little magic circle. So it's very simple that way. And I've just used scraps left over from my socks and other fingering weight projects. I'm sure that if you look on Ravelry, there's probably a pattern for it. But this is how far I am so far. I did a bunch of I blocked it this last weekend, which was very helpful because it obviously grew a lot, and that made me feel better that I wouldn't need 6,000 little squares. I think I'm going to need about 400 to 500, and I have about 120 done now. So I have a year before my first son graduates. So that is the crochet blanket I'm working on. Kind of in a blanket place. Blankets, the whole stress of the pandemic kind of made me either want to work on one thing or want to just work on blankets because they were very comforting. So I have 3 blankets that I'm working on right now. So the other one, this next one is also crochet. This one is this is a granny stripe blanket. So basically you chain, there's a pattern on Ravelry by, I think, what's her name? I wrote down, Lucy of Attic 24. And it's pretty simple. You just chain however many stitches you want for the width of your blanket. I think I chained like 300-ish. And then, so that first row is like a single crochet. This is a free pattern, so I'm not giving away any secrets. And then you just do little 3 sets of double crochet in each little spot. So you can see this is the beginning down here where the chain is. So yeah, so this is fun. I haven't done a ton on this week. There's my little stitch marker. That's showing where I was. So a couple rows. But this one's really, really comforting when I'm feeling stressed and overwhelmed. And I didn't say both of my crochet blankets. I am using a C-hook, 2.75 millimeters. I love these ones from Clover. They're very, I don't know, with this rubber edge. It's a lot more comfortable to crochet with. So that's what I'm using for both of those, both the granny square and the granny stripe blanket. And then let's see, I might as well tell you about the third blanket I'm working on. The third blanket is called, this is a knitting one, it's called the Habitation Throw. And I kind of modified it because when I cast it on, it's supposed to have this like modified I-cord edge. And my brain I watched the little tutorial. It's not hard, but my brain could not handle it. So I simply have been doing slipping the first one, knitting 2, and then doing a yarn over. So it's sort of like the edge of it is kind of different than the pattern. But the pattern itself calls for fingering weight, and I'm a very loose knitter and crocheter. And I wanted it to be a little more substantial, a little more squishy. So I'm holding fingering weight and 2 fingering weights double. So it's more of like a DK weight blanket. But the fun thing that I love about this one, uh-oh, my stitches fell off. There we go. The fun thing about this one is that it's minis. So look at, I'm going to hold it up, you won't see my face. But I've been using Berry Fun Yarn 20 gram minis. And I love how the colors change like that. So this is going to be more of a throw blanket. But I've used quite a few that are one of a kind. When I dye minis, sometimes I have leftover dye and I just want to use it up or just sort of experiment with it. So most all of these are Berry Fun Yarns. I think there's 2 here. There's a really dark purple and a really light pink that are not from Berry Fun Yarns, but otherwise they are. Oh, and then I'm holding it double with a strand. So there's the mini, and then I hold it double with a strand of barley, which is a very kind of earth tony tan color. And I dye that with coffee and logwood. So it's kind of got a nice earthy color as the background. So that has been really fun. That's the Habitation Throw by Helen Stewart. I know she was giving it away for free for a while. I'm not sure if it is still a free pattern or a paid for pattern, but she's got great patterns and I would recommend those. All right, I have one more project that I'm working on. These are actually socks. They're just vanilla socks. These are going to be a gift, but I'm almost done with the first one. You see they're kind of stripy colors. I'm on the toe decreases. I'm sure we'll finish this today. But this yarn is from Post Yarn. And it is their self-striping 75% superwash Corriedale wool, 25% nylon, 393 yards per 100 gram skeins. So it's a little bit thicker fingering weight, but I love it. And it's a little more, I would say, not quite as soft, a little more crunchy compared to merino, but I like it, and I think it'll be great for a really good hard-wearing sock. So, and I just use 64 stitches. This one I did from the cuff down, and I did a knit 3 purl 1 rib for about 1.5 inches. I did it about a size until my yarn color changed is what I did. Then I did a heel flap and gusset heel. I find that type of heel fits best on, I knit socks for a lot of boys in my life, and they have a higher instep, and I feel that they kind of fit nicer on them. So, and I like to use the heel directions in Prairie Girl Susie, her Endless Maze sock pattern. I think all of her socks have the same heel, but that's the one I tend to reference because I like how it decreases and about the size of what works. So, and I knit my socks on a size 0 double pointed needles. I forget which ones these are. Oh, these are the carbons. So yeah, so I'm going to work on that, then I'll finish the other one, hopefully get that done soon. So most of the projects I have on my needles right now are gift projects, which means I should cast on something for myself. So probably today I'm going to cast these on. I love these little shorty socks. You can kind of see my shorty sock here. Woo! They're Rose City Rollers. The designer is Mara Catherine Briner on Ravelry. And I love them for the summer when you want to wear wool socks. It's not like super hot, but your feet are a little cold. So I'm going to make myself some new ones, and I've picked out 2 different, this is some leftover yarn from, it's hard to see, but it's the leftover yarn from a Berry Fun Yarns eco-printed sock blank. So I make these sock blanks where I actually press the flowers and the dye stuff directly onto the sock blank. I made a pair of socks for myself, and I have 2 extra balls, 1 for each foot. And then I'm going to stripe it with this Berry Fun Yarns. Woo! My balls are rolling away. It's just, this was just sort of a sample that I was trying out. It's just dyed with yellow onion skins. So I'm going to stripe those and make those. And then the other one I have is, I don't know where my black is, but this is left over from a different sock blank. Isn't that pretty? This was dyed by my good friend Sam of Lavender Loon. She's also a Minnesota dyer, although she does acid-based dyes. She's up in northern Minnesota. And I was going to stripe this bright pink one with black. So I've got this one. I've got 2 balls of those 2. They're very different. That's the fun thing about sock blanks, is they can be very different depending on where it is on the blank. So that's those 2 pair of socks I'm going to cast on next. And then my big project I am casting on is the Novelli sweater. So Novelli by Caitlin Hunter. Let me see if there's a picture in here. So it's sort of, it's another short sleeve, and it has this really pretty color work at the bottom of it. So I'm going to be using Berry Fun Yarns Mustard. This is in DK weight, so like this one as well, but this is my All-Star DK. So I'm going to be using The mustard is the main color. And then this is something I've had in my stash forever. I can't even remember when I bought it, but it is by let me see here. Frabu Fibers. And it's just this like really pretty kind of dark. Won't that look nice together? So that'll be the darker color work part. And then I'm going to use this is Berry Fun Yarns. It's my party, and it's sort of like yellows and pink tones. So that will be, well, that will be my next fun big project. I was going to cast it on as soon as I finished this, but the brain power it took to do a swatch and to do a math on it all was just too much for my brain. So that's what I'll do next. And I have that in my favorite bag. I love cats. I have 3 cats. This is by Whimsy Stitches. So love that bag. So that's pretty much it for what I'm knitting and what I finished since last week. As far as the natural dyeing this week, I had been focused mostly on lilacs. I have these really beautiful purple lilacs. I'll try and put a picture in here. They have, I don't know what made me think I should try them. I've never really seen lilacs talked about as a legitimate natural dye stuff anywhere, but I tried them probably three years ago or so, and they gave me the most beautiful green color. But the trick about the lilacs is that they're very finicky. So for one, I can get this lighter green color that's in my Soldotna crop is from lilacs. But then so is this. I don't know if you can see this. It's kind of a deeper greenish blue color. It's really hard to show up on. But you can see this is very different. Oh, here, that's pretty close. This is a very different like blue-green color compared to this like minty green color. So the thing with the lilacs is 2 things. One, I have to pick them before we get any rain. It has to be fairly dry in order for me to get a good color out of it. And 2, you have to be super patient. And I weigh my dye stuff always, which doesn't always equate to the same color, because the tricky bit with natural dyeing when you actually use the plant material is that it's alive, it's a natural material, so it's greatly affected by how much rain we have, what the soil is like. Of course, my lilacs don't move, they stay in the same place, but if we get a lot of rain, they totally wash out. I get something more of this like minty green color, or even like a light gray color, which is still pretty, but it's different. So this year I knew we were going to get rain, and I wanted to get this really pretty minty green or bluish green. This is another one that I dyed this year. It's sort of a seafoam blue. And so that's what I was doing last week. At the beginning of last week, I was harvesting flowers. I only have 2 plants of this really dark lilac. The pale purple ones that people are most familiar with, they don't really give me any color at all. It's a very neutrally kind of, I don't know, just barely there gray color. So I only harvest the dark purple ones. So that's what I was doing last week. And I actually got quite a few. This one is on my Berry Tough sock base, which is it's fingering, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. And this one is on the Berry Tough confetti base, and it's kind of hard to see, but there are little specks in there. It's a tweed color, so there's like little colored specks of blue and pink and yellow that go that are woven into the yarn, the undyed yarn when I get it. So this one is super pretty. I have a couple skeins of this, and then I dyed some on the DK tweed, which is what I used for this sweater, and that has the kind of brown and black specks. So that's mostly what I was working on last week. And then the other thing that I was working on a lot was I was preparing yarns for my indigo vat, which I'm going to do later today because it's supposed to be warm out. A lot of the colors that I dye in the indigo are over dyes. So I will take something like this yellow. This is mustard, but it's on the DK tweed. I dyed that last week with yellow onion skins. I'll take something like this and I'll dip it in the indigo, and then I get this really dark green color. So it takes a lot of work to actually get ready for me to do an indigo vat, because when you dye naturally, not only do you have to use a mordant in order for the natural dyes to adhere to the wool. So I spend one time is I'll put the alum and cream of tartar, and I have to simmer that so that gets into the wool, and then I dye it in a pot like this one I dyed with the onion skins, and then I dip it in the indigo. So basically I'm dyeing one skein of yarn 3 times, so it takes quite a lot of time. So I've been working on preparing some things, dyeing some things in pink, some things in yellow, figuring the basic color schemes or figuring the basic color theories of red plus blue equals purple, yellow plus blue equals green, that sort of thing. So today, after I'm done doing this, I will be going to get ready to dye with indigo. So hopefully I'll be able to show you that next time I do one of these Berry Yarny adventure videos. So I think that's it. Thank you for your interest in Berry Fun Yarns and our farm, Firefly Berries, and thank you for following along with what I am creating and knitting. Even during strawberry season and our busy time of the year, I always knit or crochet. So I hope wherever you are having a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.